All right, welcome everybody. Let's get started. So we are going to have discussion today related to the second topic, second module, which is ITIL key concepts. Before we get started, once again, my name is Bhupender. I've got 2.5 decades of industry experience. I was working till 2017 with HP, and post 2017 I am an independent consultant and a trainer. I deliver trainings and do undertake the consulting assignments on leadership development, process improvement, project management, and IT service management. This is my domain of work. I am certified on all the topics which I'm going to speak about, and I'm a trainer for all of these topics. I am a trainer for PMP, Prince 2, Foundation and Practitioner, Prince 2 Agile, then be my ACP. I'm also training on CBAP, PBA, MOR, MSP. I'm Agile Scrum Master. I've also completed Safe Consultant certification. Then I also deliver trainings on ITIL, COBIT. I also work on the Six Sigma certifications, Lean Six Sigma certifications, so I'm Lean Expert and Lean Six Sigma Master Black Belt. At a high level, these are the certifications which I deliver. There are many other trainings which I do, but at a high level, I wanted to give you the understanding of my background. Let's get started with this topic. Now, often I deliver my trainings and try to make it as practical as possible. This is because I've seen that when I used to attend trainings, or I still do, I keep on upscaling myself, upgrading myself. So whenever I undertake any training, the most boring trainings were the ones which are full of theory. So I try to make my sessions as practical, as interactive as possible by using case studies, by using exercises. However, this chapter, I do not have the opportunity of making it practical. I can only keep it theoretical, mainly because this chapter involves only definitions. Now, I would definitely use the examples from the real life to help you understand the definitions, but we have to cross a bridge since this is the foundation examination and you will be tested on your knowledge about the definitions that we're going to discuss. Even though we would not be having case studies and exercises, as I said earlier, I would make an effort to ensure that each definition which is important from exam standpoint is given a lot of focus on, and I help explain those definitions with the help of real life examples. Let's get started. So these are the definitions that we're going to study in this chapter. Let's start one by one. So service. Let's talk about service. Service is means of enabling value co-creation by facilitating outcomes that customer wants to achieve without the customer having to manage specific cost and risks. When we talk about service, we are saying, let's go through it right from the beginning. We are saying that it's a means of enabling value co-creation. So, service is means of enabling value co-creation by facilitating outcomes that customer wants to achieve. So, when we say means of enabling value co-creation, what are we referring over here? We are talking about mainly the value cannot be created alone by the service provider. Isn't it conflicting? Well, if we talk about this training, I'm creating the value. Why am I saying that it cannot be created alone by the service provider? It has to be delivered, or it has to be co-created. What is the meaning of that? And then we say it has to be co-created by the active participation between service provider and consumer both. So what participation are we referring over here? Well, when we talk about co-creating the outcomes, what we refer over here is the outcome is required by whom? Customer or consumer. Unless I understand as a service provider what is the outcome requirement you as a consumer have, how can I deliver it? Let's say Well, I want to clear the examination. Perfect. That's a standard outcome requirement. Maybe some of you might be having a different outcome requirement as well. Maybe some of you wanted to understand, gain knowledge and comprehend about ITIL. Okay, that's also standard delivery, but what about others who probably wanted to understand how do I get the knowledge to synthesize the information? How do I get the knowledge to understand organizational challenges in terms of the IT service management? And how can I use this training to come up with the plans to resolve those issues or resolve those concerns or build up, bring up the organization from where they are right now and resolve all their concerns? That's little out of scope. Maybe I can deliver it, maybe I cannot, depending upon the training. If certain smaller modifications can be done or not, maybe I could deliver. If it's completely out of scope, then at least I need to understand your outcome requirement and have that short discussion that great, this is the outcome requirement, this will be fulfilled in this particular training, which is the intermediate section. However, as a foundation, we cannot deliver this since it requires elaborated discussion. At least I need to understand your outcome requirement, guide you towards what will help you complete that outcome requirement, and set the right expectations. Not understanding will do what? In that situation, I can only go ahead and in that situation, what would happen is there will always be a little bit of disconnect. You will only be getting the standard delivery, but you will not be that satisfied, right? I cannot exceed your expectations. I cannot go ahead and meet, forget about exceeding, but not even meet the expectation of at least making you understand that what will fulfill your requirement. Let's take another example here to understand this little better. When you go to a restaurant, if you don't like spicy food, don't you tell the person who comes and takes the order that I don't like spicy food, please make sure this dish which I'm ordering is not spicy. Well, if they can make it not spicy, if the standard is spicy but they can make it non-spicy, they will inform and take the order. If they cannot, then what they will do, they will say, sir, I'm sorry, we cannot really make this non-spicy because we already have the gravy which is made up, which is spicy. So it's a standard gravy that we are using for all the dishes. What I can do is, these are the dishes which we have. If you want to order, these are the dishes which are non-spicy, and this is an option which I can provide it to you. With this, you'll be better satisfied, right? Rather than just ordering dishes and hoping it's not going to be spicy. And that's where the value cannot be delivered to you unless you speak up and talk about your value proposition, your outcome requirement. And that's why we say service is a means of enabling value co-creation. That's what we are doing, co-creation by the active participation of service provider and consumer, by facilitating outcomes that consumer wants to achieve. And that's what I need to do. I need to facilitate the outcomes that you want to achieve, either by facilitating it or setting the right expectations that what will be delivered, what cannot be, and how that can be delivered, what additionally you have to do. Till now, I think it should be crystal clear now, without the customer having to manage specific cost and risks. And you would say that, okay, this probably might not have made sense, but it's easy to understand. Again, go back to the example of training. So do you take the ownership of my cost in terms of my electricity bill, my broadband bills, my rentals, or this is the cost or the risk which I carry? For example, if the power goes away, shouldn't I be having the power connection so that the training is flawless? Shouldn't I be having the UPS, uninterrupted power supply, till the time the power comes back? Shouldn't I be having the broadband connection, the backup broadband connection, and automatic switchover should happen probably if the primary broadband connection fails? All those are the risks which I need to manage, not customer. I as a service provider need to manage. What you're bothered about as a customer is a price, not the cost and risk. If my cost exceeds the price, I make losses. It's my problem. If my cost is below the price that you pay, I make profits. That's again not your problem or not your concern. What you're concerned about is delivery and effective delivery. And that's why the complete definition of service would be it's a means of enabling value co-creation by facilitating outcomes that customer wants to achieve without customer having to manage specific cost and risks. Now, what is service management? Service management is the organizational capabilities for enabling value for customer in form of the service. So we spoke about service, what is service, and then this service that we're delivering, which will help you achieve your outcome requirement, needs to be managed by the service provider using the capabilities, skills, knowledge, tools, techniques, etc., processes, etc. I'm delivering this training, I will be having some process flow. I need to have knowledge. Without that knowledge, how can I manage this service? Techniques has to be there, tools has to be there, most importantly, knowledge has to be there. And that's what I'm using to manage delivery of this service. So it's the set of these specialized organizational capabilities for enabling value for customer in form of these services. Next important definition that we have over here is about value. Value has two definitions. First one is value, if I talk about standard, the bare minimum is utility plus warranty. I said it has two definitions. One is achieving the standards and then going beyond and delivering the complete value for the customer. So what is a standard? I'm sure you would have heard about ISO organization, ISO standards. What is ISO? ISO defines the standards for various things. For example, ISO 9000 is for quality management, 27000 is there, 20000 is there for your IT service management, for security, etc. So let's take an example to understand these standards. If let's say you go on holiday to Thailand, you would go on the holiday to Thailand to do what? To enjoy, of course. You don't want to fall sick. While on a holiday, you don't know how safe it is to drink the tap water, so probably you're going to prefer the bottled water over there, isn't it? What's your basic expectation? Is your basic expectation that it should be safe to drink and should not cause any diseases, or your basic expectation is it should be having cold particles in it, it should be having a high number of minerals to replenish your body with the minerals and vitamins, etc. Basic expectation is it should be safe to drink, right? And that's why we say standard is bare minimum. That basic expectation that we just spoke about, that's your standard. That's a standard. Having gold particles is going beyond standard, achieving add-ons, extra. That way, if we speak, value is basics, is standard is utility plus warranty. Utility is usability or set of features, and warranty is its availability, capacity, security, etc. So what is utility once again? Utility is set of features and usability. When you buy a car for yourself, what do you look for? You look for it should take you from point A to point B in comfort, in AC should be working, it should be having probably the auto dimming rear view mirror, etc. What are those? Utility, point A to point B. Set of features, right? AC, etc. That is the utility. Then what's warranty? In the morning when you start the car, it should work. You don't want to be a situation that you're trying to start the car, it's not working. What's the point? And then that means it's not having, it's not available when you wanted it to be used. If it is starting in the morning, but if it's so fragile that even if it touches a cycle or minor touch here and there and a big dent comes in, it doesn't have airbags, doesn't have any kind of security, again you can't be that happy. So it needs to have availability, security, continuity, etc. right? And that's your basics. Let's look at another example, mobile phone. In case of mobile phone, why do you buy mobile phone? To make phone calls. If you buy a mobile phone which is a smartphone, it should be helping you make phone calls, then should help you check emails, should help you respond to emails, etc. That's its utility. And warranty is, imagine you pick up the smartphone and when you touch the touch screen, it's not responding, it's just stuck, and you have to reboot. It's not a great situation to be in. Or if somebody is easily able to steal the data, not a great situation. So it needs to be available whenever you want it to work. It should be secure, right? And that's your warranty part. Now that's basics. Value bare minimum that you're delivering, that you should deliver, is utility plus warranty. Without that, your product or service can't be successful at all. But how do you become successful? Depending upon the customer's need. How do you achieve the best in the industry? By understanding and delivering what the consumer really wanted for that market segment. And to understand that, what you're trying to do, you do the user surveys to understand the perceived benefit or usefulness or importance of something that you're delivering. For example, now this perceived benefit, usefulness and importance of something is always different for different market segments or market geographies. For example, why are certain companies successful in one market but they do not succeed in another market? In India, we look at the cars. Whenever we buy them based on, of course, it needs to have that utility plus warranty, but beyond that, we look at that mileage. Should not be heavy on pocket to maintain. Whereas in Middle East, it's not even considered. They look at the cars which are super luxurious, and that's where Toyota is super successful in India. Whereas in Middle East, you have the companies like Audi or BMW successful over there, Mercedes successful over there, right? They sell even more. And that's where we have to understand, to become successful, deliver, of course, utility plus warranty, but then go beyond by understanding the perceived benefit, usefulness and importance of something related to the market segment or geography. And this brings me to the question that why did we have this elaborated discussion? In the examination, if you get a question about the value, what is value? Look for the definition. If it says utility plus warranty as one of the options, choose that. But utility plus warranty, if it is missing, look for this option, that value is a perceived benefit, usefulness and importance of something. Any one of this which is available, choose that as the answer. Next important element that we have is outputs and outcomes. Output is a tangible or intangible delivery of an activity, and outcome is a result for a stakeholder which is enabled by one or more outputs. So let's take an example over here. You are attending this training, right? Psychological studies suggest that human mind is attentive only up to 45 minutes, which means right now you have to pay a lot of attention towards this theoretical concept. In some time you might get tired. If you get tired, how do you bring up your energy levels? You would drink probably tea or coffee. Tea or coffee is the output of tea or coffee making process. Why do you drink tea? Because you wanted your energy level to go up, and that's your outcome. Outcome is energy level going up, which is fulfilled in this example by just one output, tea or coffee, any one of that, depending upon your taste. Then why do we say enabled by one or more than one? If your outcome requirement is satisfactory lunch, you would not have just rice, you would not have just chicken, you would not have just roti, you will have a combination, right? And that's where you have one or more than one outputs providing you the outcome that you were looking forward to. In case of IT, I'm sure you would have heard about microservices. There are certain applications which are built out of microservices, multiple services operating at the back end, combining together to deliver that front end of one particular service. With that, the benefit is if one of these services goes down, the entire architecture or the application does not fail. There's only one particular element which might not be working, and let me switch on my battery real quick here, the backup, and that was covering for my risk. Right? All right, so in that situation, the microservices, multiple services working together to deliver you the outcome of the application should be predictable. Application should be working because it's business critical. So, okay, minor downtime in minor, the feature could be there, but entire application should continue to work because it's business critical. What is happening here? Multiple outputs combined together to deliver the outcome, right? And that's why, remember, outcome can be enabled by one or more outputs. Utility plus warranty. We have already spoken about it. Value is utility plus warranty. Beyond that, if you have to go, it's perceived benefit, usefulness, or importance of something. Stakeholders, anybody who's interested in the work which is happening becomes the stakeholders. It is organizations, service providers, consumers, your suppliers, etc. For example, if you're building a house for yourself, then your contractor would be looking at the stakeholders. Now, it's only not you and your family who's a stakeholder for your contractor. Contractor has to build a house abiding by the government regulations, government norms. So government becomes the stakeholder in this situation. They are not paying for your house, but they are an important stakeholder. What about your neighbors? They're also stakeholders. How? While building the house, he cannot build the kitchen chimney which is facing the bedroom window of your neighbor. And that's not being considerate. So he need to be considerate towards how the house is built in your neighborhood. Right? Isn't it? And that's where your neighbors would not be bothered till the time you become a botheration for them. And that's where anybody who's interested in the work which is happening becomes a stakeholder. Anyone who holds the stakes in the work, the service, or the product which we're delivering becomes the stakeholder. It's a contractor, it's the service provider, it's the service provider's team, it's the organization, consumer, customer, suppliers, everybody becomes your stakeholder. I just used the word consumer and then said customer. What's the difference? Customer pays for the service, consumer consumes it. For example, this training might be funded by your organization. If it's funded by your organization, they become my customer. And you are consuming it. You're not paying for it, but you're consuming it. You're the beneficiaries. And that's where you're the consumer. Right? So I hope you understand the difference. Customer pays for the service, consumer consumes it. Customer and consumer could be one, or could be different people. Value, I think we have spoken about it. It's the utility plus warranty. If you have to go beyond, then it's perceived benefit, usefulness, and importance of something. And value is always co-created by the active collaboration between service provider and the consumer. Products and services. Service is a means of enabling value co-creation by facilitating outcomes that customer wants to achieve without the customer having to manage specific cost and risks. And product is the configuration of organizational resources, maybe multiple products working together to deliver the service that you have created, designed to offer value for the customer. Service offerings. Look at service offerings as a menu card of your organization, just like the menu card of the restaurant. In the restaurant, when you go, you see a menu card using which you can order the services, the dishes that they offer. Likewise, in IT organization, you have service offerings, the menu card, which has the services falling in the three broad categories. These categories are goods, for example, laptop, server, etc. Access to resources. I need access to a SharePoint. I need access to the Active Directory, or etc. Or just providing access but revoking the access also when the need is no more there. Don't you revoke the access when the employee leaves the organization? Anything else that we do in the IT organization falls under the category of service actions. For example, my laptop screen is broken, please replace it. That's service action. I need help in understanding how to use this application or this feature. That's service action. Service relationship. So we are delivering right now a service. To deliver this service, there is a relationship between service provider and service consumer. I cannot provide service being a service provider if consumer is not there, which means you are not there. You cannot consume the service unless service provider is there, right? So these two parties are integral, and then we need the relationship to be maintained between service provider and the consumer. I, as a service provider, I'm responsible to manage the resources required to deliver the service, right? For example, I'm responsible to make sure my laptop is working, my electricity backup is working, my broadband is working, etc. I will not come to your house to make sure your electricity is working. So service consumer is responsible for ensuring that the resources required for consumption of the service is working, right? That's about service provider and service consumer. And then right in the beginning of the training, always we set basic expectations, the ground rules. For example, how long are we going to wait every day before the training is commenced for participants to come in the training room? Beyond that, we'll just get started, respecting the time of the individuals who have joined on time, isn't it? One of the ground rule. One of the ground rule which we often set for the online trainings is stay on mute to ensure that the audio clarity is maintained. However, if you have a question, either put it onto chat screen or unmute yourself and ask the question. So you would go on unmute only when you have a question. Is that a ground rule? I'm using them to manage the effectiveness of the service, which means I'm building effective relationship. And to manage that relationship, ground rule becomes one of the facilitator. Likewise, metrics could be a facilitator. My feedback score has to be above a particular percentage to understand how effective was my training. That's another indicator towards the effectiveness of the service relationship management. That's why we say service relationship management is an integral part. Matrix or ground rules is an enabler towards effective service relationship management. That completes us with this chapter, which was full of theory. I used multiple examples over here from the real life. I hope that helped you understand the concept and you would remember it. That's where I can just make you another promise that rest all chapters which I'm going to cover, I would be using exercises and case studies to ensure that you are able to understand a little better with the help of exercises and case studies about the concepts of ITIL and not just understand the theoretical portion. This is where I had a challenge of not being able to include the case studies, but I made sure that I include at least the real life examples over here. Let's validate the knowledge a little bit here. Which of the following is not a component of service relationship? Just covered it sometime back. If you see over here, it only includes provision, consumption, and service relationship management, which means service metrics is an enabler. So the right answer over here is service matrix. Question number 2. Service is a means of enabling value co-creation by facilitating outcomes that customers want to achieve without the consumer or the customer having to manage specific cost and risks. I think I would like to stop over here. I would be covering more questions when we actually meet in the training, I will see you in the next module now. Have a great day ahead. I hope you enjoyed the session. Take care and thank you.